DreAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is, you go get an energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, we are on part 3 of our 3-part mini-series, which is debunking what is being described as toxic masculinity. Before we get into this, I remind you of 2 things. First of all, my text message number down below in the description for once we start sending that message out again, you'll be getting that straight to your phone. We'll tell you about that later on. Secondly, Work on Your Game University. If you like to have me as your direct coach, you want to work with me directly on your mindset, strategy, systems, accountability, implementation, and learning and implementing and adopting any of the skills that you see me display or you hear me talk about here on this show. I help people personally put these into your world and into your business. That's what I do professionally. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. You can learn more about how that works, how to work with me, and what your next steps would be. Now, with that taken care of, let's pick up where we left off, which is part 7 of, again, what is going to be, or point 7 on, and part 3 on what will be the finale of our 3-part mini-series. Number 7 is hyper competitiveness. Again, this is allegedly a toxic masculine trait. Their definition is, or their description, success is equated with outperforming others and achieving dominance in all aspects of life, period. This is what they say makes you toxic. Outperforming others and achieving dominance in all aspects of life. Now, if you're familiar with my work, you probably already know how I feel about this one. Or if you just listen to the series, you know how I feel about this one. First of all, we live in a performance-based business called life. Entrepreneurship is a performance-based business. Sports is a performance-based business. Everything we do in life is about performing. And one of the reasons that men like to outperform other men is so that we know that we outperformed you. That is the essence of competition, is competitiveness, is that you and I are going up against each other and I won and you lost. That is the essence of competition. So hyper competitiveness is somehow toxic. Again, what woman is interested in a man who is not interested in competing with and defeating other men? Some of you may say, well, I don't need a man who wants to compete against and beat other men. Okay, maybe you say that, but you want a man who he has something that is a leg up on other men. Do you not? If you didn't want a man like that, what do you want the man for? One of the reasons that peacocks show off their feathers, for those of you who don't know this, when you see peacocks showing off their feathers, only the male peacocks do that. They do that because they are putting on display to the other female peacocks, known as peahens, why they are the one that peahen should allow to procreate with them. All right, they want all the women to want them, and then the man can pick the one that he wants. He wants to get chosen by the women, or be in a position where he can choose the woman that he wants. And another reason that the men show off their peacock feathers is to let all the other men know, hey, I'm better than you. Look what I got. The same reason that you see men show off their cars or show off their muscles or show off whatever it is that they had, they think puts them above other men. We call it peacocking because men are wired to have status or want to have status above other men. And when we have it, we want to show it off in some way, shape, or form. Some people do it really outlandishly. Some people do it in a more subtle way. But all men want to at least know in their minds they have something over other men. They have some kind of leg up on other men. And any man who is pretending as if that's not a thing, it's not that it's not a thing for him. He's just pretending. Again, I use the word for a reason. They're pretending is not a thing. Either because they are hanging around too many feminists who have them believing that this somehow is a good thing, or B, they have had it beaten out of them that they should even think this way. Or another thing, this can be a slash with the letter B, is that they know that they have that thing over other men and they just don't want to put it on display for whatever other reason. It could be many reasons why men don't show off the things that they have, and there are many reasons why men who do have things or don't have things show off stuff. But the whole point is we are wired to want to beat other men. Right? When I go to the gym and work out, I like knowing that most of the men in that gym are not in the shape that I'm in. Does that matter to me? Yes, it does. When I'm outside running and I'm running on a certain path and I see another runner up ahead of me running on the same path, Is it fun to me to catch up to them and pass them? Yes, it is. Is it fun to me if somebody starts to pass me that I don't let them pass me and nobody passes me? But if someone was to be able to run past them and leave them in the dust, yes. Does that matter? Yes. Yes, it matters. There is a thing. Men are wired for this. I'm not saying there aren't women who have some uh, testosterone in them. The ones who play sports definitely do, because sports is a straight up competition. Hyper-competitiveness is not a negative thing. Competition is the essence of being a man. We are wanting to beat other men because we want to make ourselves the most eligible men so that we have our choice amongst the most beautiful women and the most fertile women. This is biological wiring of humans, not toxic masculinity. The peacock, as I already explained, he's showing other men he's the best, and he's showing the women that he's the one to choose. This is why men show off muscles, cars, watches, material possessions, whatever. We are not only competing for the attention of women. You might already have a woman, but females very much do respond to these things, contrary to what you've heard. Females do respond to it. There's a reason why you see a lot of men showing off watches, cars, muscles, houses, the private flights. And so you see people showing these things off because it works. It works to get the attention of men who want it, and it works to get the attention of women who are interested. Does it work? Yes, it does. Now, I'm not saying that's the only thing that works, but it works. There's a reason why people show things off. We are also competing with other men. Again, we're letting other men know, listen, I got this, you don't have it. I got these muscles, you don't have them. I got this car, you don't have it. I had this accomplishment, you don't have it. That matters. There's a reason why they give out trophies at sporting events, because not everybody gets one. It's the reason why the participation trophy is so frowned upon, because it reduces the value of a trophy, period. If everybody gets one, it doesn't matter. The value of the trophy is in the fact that there is a limited number of them. If everybody gets one, then the trophy means nothing. That's the point. So do you think for example, and this is all, again, part of being a masculine man, being a masculine man, we compete with other men to show who's the best. And if you want to be the best, you got to defeat all the other men who are out there looking to compete against you. This is part of masculinity. I tell you that I like to run in 10K races. That's my most consistent competition since I stopped playing basketball. Let me ask you a question. Do you think I run those races for fun? No. I don't run in those races for fun. I can run 10K by myself at 4 o'clock in the morning. Nobody would know about it. I could just do that and never enter a race. Why do I enter races? The reason I enter races is because I'm competing against other men and I want to beat them. I tell you, I want to come in first in my age group. I want to come in at least in the top 3 in my age bracket, which means every other man in my age bracket, the most they could be better than me if I hit my goal is only 2 people. And usually those are some skinny, emaciated men who run all the time. They're like professional runners compared to me. If they finish ahead of me, I'm actually okay with that because I didn't dedicate my life to being a runner. I played basketball. I would wipe the floor with these guys in basketball, and I'm right there with them in running. They ain't that far ahead of me in running. The gap between me and them in basketball is way bigger than the gap between them and me in running, if you get what I'm saying. That's competition. I enter the competitions for a reason because I want the competition. I want the medals to come from competing. The medal is a trophy that shows that you beat a bunch of other people. This is why sports exists, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I go to the boxing gym to be physically prepared to beat another man in a fight if I need to, whether it's a boxing fight or a street fight. I want to be physically prepared just in case. Is it a contributing factor for me to achieve in business to know that I have out-achieved other men? The answer is hell yes. Men want to achieve in business because one of the ways that you win is by showing that you can do things that other men cannot do. If that means sports-wise, it means athletically, it means financially, if it means verbally, whatever means it takes to get it, we want to do it. Because men compete. So any man who would not admit to wanting to do this is simply lying. Or he is coping, it is a form of lying, coping because he's not competitive right now. So any man who's not competitive with other men, you may come up with a cope that says, I'm not trying to compete because if you were competing, you'd be losing right now. If there was a scoreboard, you'd be in the last place on the scoreboard right now. So you say, well, I'm not trying to compete. But see, any man who's winning doesn't say he's not trying to compete or that he doesn't like the fact that he's in first place. Let's just put it that way. Because there can be some men out there who say, I'm not really competing with other men, but that same man will show you all the stuff that he has to let you know that he is beating you in some way, shape, or form. All right, figure that one out. A lot of men who say, I'm not competing with other men, but they'll show you all the stuff that shows you that they're actually beating other men. So then they can say they're not competing to make it seem as if it doesn't matter what other people are doing. It does matter. It matters, ladies and gentlemen. It matters. Moving on, point number 8. Today's topic, once again, is we are debunking this concept of toxic masculinity and the bullshit points they are laying out here as to what makes a man toxic. Number 8 is pressure to provide and protect. Again, this is a toxic trait. They say that a toxic man is seen as the sole or primary provider and protector in the family, placing financial and emotional burdens on that man. They say this is a trait of being toxic, is when you are seen, or you see yourself as the sole or primary provider and or protector in a family, which places financial and emotional burdens on you. Okay, let's translate this into two words that I talk about all the time here on the show. Those two words are pressure and stress. They're saying that putting pressure and stress on yourself because you are the sole provider or the primary provider or the primary protector of a family, that puts pressure on you and it puts stress on you. And they're saying that's toxic for you to even assume the titles, because it adds to your pressure and to your stress. I say this is complete bullshit. A man should want pressure and stress, because the only way anything grows or gets better is by being under pressure and under stress. And either the woman's going to be under pressure and stress, or the man's going to be under pressure and stress. If you're a man, who would you rather have that pressure and stress on their shoulders? The woman or the man? Who you want to have it? Because somebody got to have it. Who's it going to be? So there's nothing wrong with having pressure and stress on yourself, because you are taking on responsibility. This point right here is all about responsibility. Pressure to provide and protect. We could just change that to one word: responsibility. So they're saying to be responsible makes you a toxic man. Wanting to be fully responsible for yourself and your family makes you a toxic man, because that responsibility, what comes with it is the pressure to provide and the pressure to protect. And sometimes you don't know how you're going to provide and protect. That feels stressful. Those are good things. Why? Because stress is going to bring the best out of you if you frame it the right way. As eustress, the good kind of stress, is going to make you better, as opposed to distress, the kind of stress that beats you down and destroys you. And pressure, the good kind of pressure that will burst a coal and turn it into a diamond, or it will break up a coal and reveal a diamond, or it will burst the rusty pipe. But the pressure didn't turn you into either one of those. The pressure just revealed what you already were, revealed what was already there. You hear me use these words often: pressure and stress. They are good things. Now, I explain to you that they're good things, especially for men. And keep in mind, the way that we are physiologically developed, women have wide hips. Why? So that they have a wide birth canal, so that they can give birth to children. Whereas men, we have broad shoulders. Why? So that we can handle the pressure and stress that gets put on us. These are good things because they force us into action, and they force us to find out exactly what we are made of. So it's good to be pressured, and it's good to have stress on us, because we find out what we're about when there's pressure and stress on us. And especially for men, especially masculine men, you should feel pressure to be a provider and a protector of the women and the children around you. This is what you were made to do. This goes back to the caveman days. Doesn't mean you have to be the only provider. If your wife or girlfriend works and they make money too, fine. But if a rival enemy were to invade your town, your wife is not going to be standing on the front line putting her life on the line to defend the town. You are. Is that stressful? Yes, it is. Is that pressure? Yes, it is. Is that your job? Yes, it is. So women and men are not equal. Again, feminism and the feminist ideals that have been pushed by feminists and accepted by feminine energy men, because the only reason this shit has even flown is because feminine energy men have gone along with it. If all men said hell no, we wouldn't be talking about this shit. It's only because some women have gone along with the bullshit that we're here. All right. You have to be willing to push back on this stuff, whether by duty, not by duty, by action or by words. Hopefully, many of you can get to a position you can do by both. The gender role of a man is to protect and provide. That's not even to be questioned. That's the gender role of a man in society. The general role of a woman is to nurture and raise the children. Can a woman protect and provide in some cases? Yes. Is that the general role of a woman? The answer is no. Can a man nurture and raise kids in some cases? The answer is yes. Is that the general role of a man? No, that is not the man's natural position. I'm beginning to think, again, I actually already know, that some very unhappy lesbians contributed to these points here, these talking points of what makes a toxic man. Some unhappy people out there, unhappy lesbians who just don't like men in any way, shape, or form. No woman who's attracted to men would actually push this nonsense and stand on it, because it just sounds ridiculous, even as I'm spelling it out. But if I'm missing something, somebody can let me know. Point number 9, last one. And today's topic, once again, is debunking this concept of quote unquote toxic masculinity. Number 9, Stigmatization of non-traditional masculinities. What does this mean? They say that it is a toxic idea to believe that men who deviate from traditional masculine roles, i.e., a man who's a stay-at-home dad, that's not a traditional masculine role, that they are often judged and or ridiculed. And they're saying that that is a form of toxic masculinity when a man is stigmatized for filling a non-traditional role, such as being a stay-at-home dad. I will say that it is true that a man does get stigmatized if he is not following a traditional masculine role. And I'm going to say also it will continue to be true. Now, the question is, why is it true and why will it continue to be true? I'll answer that as well. Because of everything we talked about already in the previous points of this series. The traditional masculine role, one that was handed to us by our creators, is to go out and hunt and gather for the women and children. That is the man's traditional masculine role. You go out there and you get it, you bring it home, and the woman will cook it up. That's the job of a man. So if you're not doing that, are you going to be stigmatized? Yes, you are. Could you possibly be ridiculed by other men? Yes, you can. And do I see that as a bad thing? No, I don't. No, I don't. The traditional masculine role is to go out and hunt and gather. If you are not doing that, you're not playing your biological role. And are you going to be stigmatized? Yes, you're going to stigmatize yourself because you know you're not playing your biological role. Any man who's doing that knows that he's not playing his biological role. You don't need anybody to say it to you. Don't blame society. Don't blame the internet. Don't blame me. You already know you're not doing your role because that's the reason why you even feel a man would feel insecure in that position anyway if he wasn't doing his thing. And it doesn't mean a man can't go through a rough patch where maybe the sales aren't coming in, you're not making money, you're not providing as well as you expect yourself to. But even in that position, as long as you're of the mind that you know you're not filling your role and you know you need to get back to fulfilling your role, then at least you're in the right mental space that you know this is not where I'm supposed to be. There's something that's not working here. I need to fix it. But if you're in that position, you're just cool with it, and that's a problem. So does this make you a toxic man? No, it doesn't. It just makes you a man, period. So being stigmatized and ridiculed is not a crime, nor is it some type of punishable offense. And again, this is the feminization of society where you have women and feminine energy men saying that to stigmatize a man for not fulfilling his role or to ridicule a man for not fulfilling his traditional masculine role and ridiculing him itself is a reflection of toxic masculinity. I say bullshit. It's a reflection of standards and holding people accountable, which is what men should be doing with each other on a regular basis. Men should be holding each other to standards, holding each other to certain levels of accountability. And if they're not doing that, then everybody falls off because the law of entropy states that anything that is not held to standards, anywhere there are no parameters, anything is just left on its own to do as you wish, it eventually disintegrates into chaos and disorder. That is a law, that's a scientific law of the universe. There's no article you can write that undoes that. All right, this point right here is really a garbage point, this last one. Maybe the worst point, the weakest point of the whole series. But I had to address it because it was listed from, again, the site that gave me the source material for this series. If you are a masculine man, you are not affected by any alleged stigmas or even by the ridicule of other people. Because if you are, then you are much more female than you are man. Other men may try to ridicule you and say things about you and challenge you and go against you for whatever reason. But if that's stopping you from doing your job, you're not a man. You're acting like a woman. A man takes the arrows that are coming his way and he keeps going. All right, that's what makes him a man. Again, if you just fell apart mentally, emotionally, physically, every time some type of challenge or stress or pressure was foisted upon you, then how are you a man? All right, take your balls off and give them back to where you got them from because you're unqualified to have them. Man is supposed to take these things on and keep going anyway. That's the whole point of being a man. Again, if everybody was doing it the same way, then we wouldn't have male and female. We have two different groups for a reason, and everybody has to play their damn position. So this whole series, these points I've been pointing out, were written by a woman who shouldn't be writing about them at all, but society has somehow allowed this to be accepted, and this is where we're at. So I got to meet society where it's at so I can take it where it needs to be. Let's recap. Today's class was part 3 of our mini series here, which is the traits of toxic masculinity. Alleged. Number 7, hypercompetitiveness. Success being equated with outperforming others and achieving dominance in all aspects of life. Outside of sex for procreation and pleasure, competition is the essence of man. The male peacock has feathers for a reason because it wants to show off to the other females and to the men that it is the best. All right, that is the reason why you have peacocking, because we want to show people that we are better than them. That's the reason why we go to work. It's the reason why we go to the gym. It's the reason why we acquire things. So we want other people to know that we have them and they don't. That is part of the game. Number 8, pressure to provide and protect. All right, a man's responsibility is to provide and protect. So if that translates to pressure for you, good, because pressure usually moves people to action to get things done that otherwise would not get done without the pressure. And number 9, last point in this series is stigmatization of non-traditional masculinities. A man's role is to go out and provide and protect. If you're not doing that, you're a stay-at-home dad and you're not going out there and providing and protecting for your family as a traditional male is to do. And when actually, it's not even going to say traditional, say biologically what man is designed to do, then yes, you will be stigmatized. Yes, you may even be ridiculed and talked negatively about by other men, let alone other women. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make those people wrong for pointing out that you are not following your biological rules. You're not following the biological rules that were laid out for you by your creator. There's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't make them toxic, and it doesn't make you any better of a man because you are not following a traditional masculine role. It really means you got radicalized by some female or by some feminine energy man. And if you're going to be mad at anybody, you should be mad at them for teaching you that bullshit and be mad at yourself for accepting it. All that said, folks, workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work with me directly. Have me as your direct coach. Let's get through the bullshit. Let's get on to the real shit that we need to be getting to get your business, your life, your career exactly where it needs to be, starting with your mindset, going on to the strategy, going on to the systems, and then implementation. All with me as your direct personal coach all through that process. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre, all